to a consciousness where, especially and specifically with Mandalorian and Moff Gideon, where I realized that we, many of us, or me, I qualify myself, are both. We are both the hero and the anti-hero in our own lives. And if I can bring that to the forefront of some of my work in a qualification that we call a villainous character, I don't believe anyone is villainous. For me personally, I believe that people are human beings and they struggle with both the light and I knew I wanted a great costume when Jon Favreau called me. He said, any special request? I said, I gotta have a cape. I just gotta have a cape. And so the lightsaber is this revered weapon or tool, much like the revered tools that we have between our ears. My mom used to say to me, you know, they can never take away what's between your ears. And I was young and I would go, which meant develop your mind, your thought. It's great to have the backup of that lightsaber in case, you know, no one really wants to hear what you have to say, that you could lob off their head. But you probably know the stories. I went through 6 of them. I tried to be really careful. I had great saber fights when I did every part of the scene. And it's like being a kid again in heaven. It's just, it was a really wonderful experience.
Just wanted to know what inspired you to become the huge actor you are in both games and in TV shows?
My inspiration was that I wanted to really tap into what I think we all look for no matter what we do. I'm in a position where you can see me on the big screen, you can turn me on today, and you can, you see a lot of me. But I believe it's true of any artist who's a painter. I love Comic-Cons because we get to come and we get to play and be in wonder. But what I'm getting at is expression, right? Our lives are expression. No matter what we do, we have to communicate and we can't do it alone. So we're part of a larger expression. And for me, I realized I was good at play acting, and which has guided me to realize that I'm good at expressing myself. So that requires being a halfway decent communicator. And which is why I earlier said ask yourself what you want, and see if you can answer that question in every moment, in every day of your life, because that propels you to understand who you are. So there's an interior world and an exterior world. We, at this time in history, are very involved in the exterior world, the world of everything that's shown to us, the shiny things, the great cars, the advertising that tells us how to dress, and tell us how we'll be accepted. But when do we reflect ourselves back to the interior world, which is what I have to do. In what I do, yeah, I'm on a big screen of given lines and characters, but I venture to say the reason I love what I do is because I've got to develop the interior world that's beyond the words.
You did video games, and of course your biggest one was, of course, as El Presidente from Far Cry 6. My question is, So my question is, was there a different experience doing motion caption and all? Like, was it a different kind of environment than doing live action, like in front of a camera or in a set?
Very, very different environment. Doing, let's say, Far Cry and Anton Castillo was a very different experience because I had a belt of batteries around my waist in a green screen suit with all of the articulated areas of my body marked by sensors in a room with cameras that are shooting me within that environment, and with a football helmet on with a light in front of my face and 3 cameras, and playing basically what I might qualify as being theater games. But what I love about what I do is I get a chance to learn different technologies, and I get a chance to be in an environment where making film changes and is different. And so for me, I enjoyed that process because I learned something I didn't know before. Equally so, and equivalent to, in The Mandalorian, I'm in a huge room in costume. which is preferable to me because I feel like when you put on the clothes, it helps you become a certain character. But in that environment, it's a volume environment. It's a room similar to this with cameras on the walls and ceilings that are projected a whole environment. And you're in an empty room acting in an environment that you see in the background. So in the back of me, they can change the sky, they can change the earth, they can have things move, but they're focused on me. So I'm showing you a world that I can partially see, but I'm creating it in the visionary reflection of my being, so that you know I'm looking at something really far away. You see the resemblance of that behind me, but in front of me, I've got to project that. So what I'm saying is that, look, and part of life is to experience new things. And part of, no matter what you do, I attest that if you find joy and love in it, you'll find it's exciting for you. If that excitement ever goes away, find something else to do. Because we're supposed to be doing what we love to do in life, because that will then facilitate us our greatest contribution. And so I know I'm in the right place at the right time when I'm doing something that I love. No matter how difficult the situation is, no matter how difficult the technical part of it is, or the director, or anything else, I know there's a reason why I've been put here now. And to be able to be positive and find that reason is to connect with your creative depth of who you are and to extend yourself in that way. You're welcome.
Next question.
Sorry, I just want to get this frame. So I just want to say you're one of my favorite actors probably in the current scene right now, so I just want to say thank you. But on to my question. So after playing Gus since basically like, what, 2010, and through Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, how would you say it's been ever since you had to say goodbye to the characters since the finale last year?
I've been so blessed to be working so much that the goodbyes haven't been long. I've been right to the next thing. Of course, Breaking Bad was a very seminal moment in my career, not only in my career, but also in my life. To be able to be asked to come back and do Better Call Saul was a question mark for me, because I don't like to repeat or do anything that I've done before. But I found some new experience with Saul, new nuance. I was able to direct in the 6th season, which is a great thing. I was able to really figure out how to change the Gustavo that you knew from Breaking Bad to one in the final season of Saul who was more vulnerable, who was at risk from a formidable opponent. It's always difficult to say goodbye to something that you know, because we get used to things. But in life, the opposite is true of our growth. Change is good. Change shakes things up. It doesn't make us feel great because it's awkward. And it forces us to do something we haven't done before. And that, although it feels awkward and uncomfortable, is exactly where we should be, because it challenges us to face a new experience in a new way. So I have this thing about, once I did Gustavo Fring, I was asked to be a villain over and over again in different things. I didn't ever want to rely on what I did in Breaking Bad or Saul to create that person. So for me, each character is new and fresh, and I forget what I did before. And I shy away from anyone who comes to me and says, we want you to play a Gus-like character. I walk out of the room. That's not what I want to do. But the change and the attitude is, your attitude is all you can control, right? That's all you have control over. You may want to have control over the world. I may want to have control over every question you ask me, but I don't. All I can do is take it in as it comes to me and process it and give you an honest, truthful, and organic answer. So for me, I've been blessed to be able to move on and play other characters that are intriguing to me, as intriguing as Gustavo Fring, and hopefully that'll keep coming to me if my attitude keeps inviting that situation. Whether you know it or not, you invite into your life what is right for you. If you don't choose, The universe will choose it for you. And it may be against what you're asking for, right? But if you're able to think, what you do today determines your tomorrow. If you're able to think about what you want, because you have a choice. I'm not saying that choice will come true, but if you invite it, it's going to come to you. All you have to do is think about it, cultivate it, water the garden, and then stand up to the fear, stand up and have courage and say, I welcome it, because it will grow me, change me, and bless my life.
Thank you. Next question.
Oh, I thought that was me. Okay. So, hello. I love your work, first of all. I'm a huge fan. Since the community episode, like, for real. But I wanted to know, on that note, like, what has been maybe your favorite or most memorable, like, role? Not necessarily an audience favorite or what everybody else likes. What do you, like, what was your personal, like, favorite thing to play?
I've been so blessed to love my work and to be able to choose. Even from the time where I wasn't making a lot of money and couldn't make ends meet, I always made a decision that I wanted to choose. So I could pull a bunch of obscure things out of my hat that, Go Tell on the Mountain, Elijah, one of my favorite movies because it was written by James Baldwin, and I really loved that piece because it connected to where I was at the time spiritually, and it was just a wonderful role. That goes back 40 years of my career. Each role to me is special, and I look at it as a special gem that's been given to me to cultivate something inside me that I need in that moment, and I bring something to the party. I was told by an acting teacher many, many years ago that there are no small parts, just like in life. There are no small parts. Each of us has an organic originality that we're being asked to contribute, whether you know it, realize it, see it, understand it, or not. And the universe is waiting for each of us to wake up to that, because that's called our calling. And there's no possible way, even if you choose to diminish yourself and go, oh, they don't want to see me, oh, I'm not good enough. Even if you make that choice that you are diminished because you're not good enough, because you haven't found your calling, the universe is still going to knock on that door and say, what do you want? Now, for many years, when people asked me what I wanted, I couldn't come up with the immediate answer. And I ask and challenge each of you in this room to ask yourselves every day, even if you don't have the answer, what do I want? Look in the mirror. What do I want? Until you feel it in your gut and you have the answer. So for me, each character I played throughout the years has given me something that is a gift. And that's the gift I'm asking you to ask of yourselves daily until the answer comes to you. And when you find that connection, your life will run so very smoothly from here on out.
Next question.
First of all, it's just so good to meet you. I love Breaking Bad. I love Better Call Saul. But I just want to say, a few months ago, you said you want to be Professor X. How would you feel about playing Dr. Doom in the MCU if Professor X was taken?
Yeah, did I say that? Oh my gosh, be careful what you ask for, because it may come true. So the fans started blowing up the fact that there was a possibility for me to play Professor X. And I had met with Marvel a while ago, and I told that story. It was about possibly playing Loki in a TV show, and I wanted to do a movie with Marvel, and I love what they do. And that got out there, and the fans blew it up. But yes, I like the idea of Doom. I like the idea of Magneto. I like the idea of Freeze. You know what I mean? So it's going to happen because it's in the universe, and that's how I think. Once it's in the universe, it's going to happen. Sadly, they're not ready to do any of those yet. X, I would like to play. I think he's a complicated person, and I know they want to re-envision that. I have questions about being in a wheelchair. Like, I'm an active dude, so I don't know, you know, like, I know X wasn't always in the wheelchair, so I have ideas, you know, about how to get him out of the chair and have that chair be a different chair than what we think it has been. So I'm all about the Marvel world. I'm thanking and grateful in advance for blowing up the possibility and idea that that could be a part of my world, and I think it's going to come. Keep doing it.
Love your work.
Thank you.
Everything. What is your dream role? Like, you have done everything as far as characters, TV, movies. But do you have like that role in the back of your head, like you said, universe?
There are a number. What is my dream role is the question. Do I have it in my head? You know, I've wanted to play Pushkin for a long time. You know, a poet, playwright of mixed race from Russia. And that's something that interests me. I have ideas to, you know, to play a pirate because I feel like I was a pirate in a past life. So, you know, but I'm trying to figure out what that story is. I was recently in New Orleans doing my own show for AMC called Parish, which will be out probably next season on AMC. And so that is a port city. I'm intrigued by port cities, especially one that went all the way from Louisiana to Maine before the Louisiana Purchase. So I'm interested in history. And so I'd like to find a story. In New Orleans, I was exposed to the Lafitte brothers, who were pirates, really tax evaders in many ways. And so it allows me to think about how in our country capitalism has affected those who want to get around it. And I'm sure there were African Americans who were involved in that world as well, but we never really haven't as of yet seen those stories. So, but I'd like to be able to foster the Robin Hood idea that you know, when we're doing something that may be illicit for a good purpose, it changes the dynamic of morality behind it. Not to say that that's good, but to say that that's an expanded person who keeps knocking on the door and saying, I want to do this for human beings, and I know I've got to do this. It doesn't really quite make me feel right to get to a place where I can do this. We're at that moment in time in our world now. We're at that moment in time where we've been drawn back to war and savagery and people dying, and who's going to stand up? And so I'm looking for projects and characters who are willing to stand up to a world that's focused on big business and not focused on each and every one of us, meaning you and me, who may have great intentions, but who don't run the show. So I don't want to run the show. I want to run the show with each and every one of you, because I feel like that will return us to a humanity that we need to be living and breathing today.
Excellent. Here's a question to ponder. Do you enjoy hurting other people?
I'm a really cruel bastard. I mean, there's a light in the dark to us all, and someone has to take control of the chaos.
Do you think Gus is your most intelligent character? I know that he just seems so intelligent. that, and I know that maybe it's through his experience that he has, and you talked about it before, it just seems, he seems so smart and brilliant. You feel like he's one of your smartest characters that you played?
I think he is one of the smartest characters I played, and I designed him that way because I didn't want to be, for lack of a better way to put it, the mobster with the little dog and the guy who's stereotypical. So to break out of that stereotypical realm of character, I wanted to create someone who was a thinker. And so I did, but he was flawed because he was a thinker and could think ahead of you, but his heart is a little dead, right? So he's very intelligent, but he doesn't, and he feels energy, but his heart is not open because it's been broken. So if you look back to Max Arciniega, you know, someone that he adored and cooked for him, that was his MO, was to create, to give people an opportunity. And that plays into who I am. And to make a trade. There's a trade we make in life. I mean, how often do you go for a job interview and they ask you all these questions and you go, yeah, thank you. And they look at you and go, well, thank you. They dismiss you and they say, you'll hear from us. How often do you go, wait, no, I told you about me, and I've told you what I can offer you. How often do we go, what can you offer me? Right, so this is empowerment. In a graceful way. You've told me what you guys do, and why don't you tell me how and what you can offer me in my advancement so that we can grow together, right? Change is the power dynamic of things. And so Gustavo, I felt like was a character who was willing to take a chance on human beings, but he wanted something. So when you're attached to something, a certain outcome is going to happen. When you're not attached, anything can happen.
So, obviously I'm a huge fan. It's an honor to even be talking to you right now, but my question is, in a lot of your shows, from whether you're in The Boys as the leader of Bot, or in Breaking Bad, you're leader of both an empire and a chicken franchise, how do you get yourself into the mindset from being Giancarlo Esposito to being a leader of all these different groups on stage, and maybe even a leader of your peers offset too? So how do you just get yourself into a mindset of, like, you have to lead once you're on set?
I breathe. It's the truth. I mean, Gustavo was created out of the really thinking part of Gustavo Fring, and the relaxed, calm part of his observation of human beings was to be able to take the space and time to feel energy. And we're in a world where everything moves quickly. So you're asked a question, you're expected to know the answer, as opposed to taking a moment to be thoughtful, right? To be thoughtful. And our attention has been whittled down by our electronic devices that give us the answer that we need now, as opposed to taking a moment to find the answer we need within. So it's a great responsibility for me as an actor even, to get on set and command energy and to lead people. So I believe you, and I intimidate people, I totally understand it, and I have 4 daughters, and I know how to do that, man. But I have daughters who say to me, they'll stop. Maybe they have imbibed some of my teaching. They'll breathe and they'll look at me and they'll go, Papa, you're just extra. So I use my extra to take command of the energy, of the time. I use the space to get your attention. Because if I would just, no one's going to listen to that. I used to lose my temperature, and my ex-wife would go, she'd just look at me. Are you done now? Are you all finished? That doesn't get attention. What gets attention is a rooted, grounded person who is thoughtful. People want to follow someone who is thoughtful. If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. And I meant this for my children.